everyone, and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast, the only podcast where Jeremiah Stringer shares intimate details about his own personal life.
Often unwarranted.
Most times unwarranted. How you doing, Jeremiah?
I'm doing great, man.
Dude, it is season 2, episode 2
Yes.
of the Backpacking Podcast. We even have a fancy new color scheme for our logo.
Yeah, I like it. I like it because it's earth. It's kind of like earth oriented. You got the browns and the greens and the dark colors.
Speaking of the Browns, what a great football team. The Cleveland Browns. Yeah, you were drinking out of a Cleveland Browns coffee mug recently, and
Yeah, if they're watching on YouTube, they can see. I said where quarterbacks go to die. You said they got Baker Mayfield. We'll see how long that lasts. I don't know.
he's coming back, buddy. He's coming back.
I don't know. I'm not a big NFL guy. I don't really have a team.
Well,
but,
you're a college guy, aren't you?
yeah, but I like to hate on all the NFL teams. So if you're a fan, then I like to hate on them.
Well, at least you're you're not teamist, so that's good.
That's true.
That's good. We'll go with that. So today we got a really interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah,
But before we talk about the topic,
okay, what is?
I'm cutting you off. Before we talk about the topic,
That sounds like a plug.
something came off in our last episode. I shouldn't say something came off. You said something in our last episode that brought great distraught and worry to me.
What is it?
You're shaving the beard.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If it's up to me, then I'll be like, nah. It is a lot of work, man. Once you start growing a beard, you know, you got to take care of it, or you're getting the split ends and stuff that the girls with the long hair complain about.
Mm-hmm.
Getting all brittle and wavy and stuff, but it is a lot of work. You kind of get used to it, but Bridget wants her sexy, like chiseled jawline, like Greek god sculpted, like chin.
Well, see, here's the thing. Some guys like you grow a beard and it hides that.
Yeah.
People like me grow it and we hide our double chins.
Nah, bro.
That's what I have the beard for. You don't see that, like, you know, there's more than one chin underneath this first one. So
I think you look great, man.
I like the beard. I
With
enjoy
and
the beard.
without.
Oh, thanks. I actually look really weird without a beard.
Do you?
My wife, I shaved my beard off maybe a year or two ago. Maybe it was before the kids were born even. But yeah, I shaved my beard off. My wife looked at it and she goes, "Don't do that again."
Really?
She likes the beard.
You know what?
Now, she's not as crazy about it being longer, but she's not crazy about it being shaved off.
I think that we could get like a sponsorship by some kind of beard company, because I'm pretty sure that we have at least I'd say at least a 90-second quota that we have to meet every podcast to talk about beards.
We
least.
actually do. We can pick up a new sponsor. I'm down with picking up a new sponsor.
Message me.
Yeah,
Email me.
We could pick up a beard product sponsorship pretty quick and be happy with it.
If somebody will pay me, there's no way I'll shave the beard.
I'll use the product every single day.
Yeah, I probably won't, but I'll definitely take the money.
And there went the sponsorship. Sponsorship's gone.
Kidding. I'm just kidding. I do have a barber that has a beard. Did I tell you about this?
Yes, you did.
And if you haven't heard this before, real quick, he said he won't shave his beard because it makes him so much money. People like walk into the barbershop and they're like, "I'll take the guy with the beard because he's got like an 8-inch beard or something."
And he grooms it probably really well, doesn't he?
Looks great. I was like, "Can you trim up my neck under the beard?" He's like, No. That's what's going to make your beard look full. You never, if you're growing out your beard,
I
grow
learned
it
that.
out.
I learned that. That was what my problem was for a long time with mine.
Yeah.
I was shaving up underneath, and so it almost was like see-through.
Yeah.
And-
He's like, "Look," and he like tucked his away, and he's like, "Look how thin it looks." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Look at it now."
I figured that out. That's why my beard doesn't look as thin as it did before. It's starting to look more
looks
full.
Very full, man.
It's coming along, and it's going to get better.
You look great. We had Tim Watson on, and he has a beard grown too.
Yeah, and
if you haven't heard that episode,
Yeah, that was our last episode, and he's turned me on to the idea of getting a beard straightener.
I think that's a no, man.
Well, your hair doesn't grow like mine does either.
No, it's wavy, dude. Whenever you get out of the shower,
yours may be wavy, but mine's straight up like curly and kinky. Like it looks like I really have to work on mine not to be horrid.
wonder why. I guess that's just genetics.
Yeah, it probably is. I have bad genetics on that.
There's a guy. I have a wedding coming up, and I grabbed my suit and I had it like altered and stuff, and whatever typical wedding suit stuff.
Right.
And I was talking to this guy, and we were just making small talk while they were altering the suit. So I drove out of town to get it, and he was complaining about his beard, And I was like, well, how old are you, dude? Because he's like talking about my beard. And he was like, I'm 33. I was like, yeah. I was like, you probably screwed on the genetics, man, because at 33, it's probably not going to grow in.
Funny story.
What is it?
I couldn't grow a beard till I was 35.
35.
35.
I've heard of 30.
Yeah, I was, and I still, like, right here, like, if you're looking online, right there, these 2 spots underneath my mustache just don't grow hair.
Mine doesn't grow there either. And it also
So-
doesn't grow on one side of my, like, soul patch
Yeah,
area.
see, I have a really
It's
weak soul
weird.
patch, too. So, like, I have a lot of chin beard, but I don't have a lot under my mouth. So,
Well, this is where the beard is.
yeah. But
Tuba.
you've got, like, a real nice section right here.
Look at that.
Yeah,
How
that's,
weird is
that's
that?
good, dude. That's good. I wish I could do that.
Tuba Solo the hiker,
Yes.
a.k.a. Tuba the solo hiker. Steve.
That's okay. He's not listening to us anyways.
He may be listening, man. We'll have to tell him to. He has a nice soul patch, man.
Oh, yeah.
I
He's
don't know
got
how
that
he does it.
California soul patch.
That's what it is. It's the dark skin, like the nice tan, the L.A. sun, and year round, and then the soul patch.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I think he could wear a tutu and still look cool.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
he's got it going on.
It's just something about Steve. He just always looks cool.
Throw on some sunglasses. If I was him,
Yeah.
I'd wear sunglasses 24/7.
Like when he goes hiking, it's like stylish hiking.
Bro, yeah, and he's killing it in the late
Yeah.
videos too. These hiking
Yeah.
videos. His thumbnails crack me up.
Yeah, dude's pretty cool. Anyways, so all of that to talk about the beard real quick. I want to throw an idea out. Now, that's not something we've talked about, by the way. I'm doing this for the first time, so this is not something that was planned. I'm bringing this up for the first time now, but there was an Instagram follower who posted the idea of, if you're gonna shave the beard, why not shave it for charity? And so, I
Who's
don't know.
getting the charity?
I don't know yet.
If the charity goes to me, well, it depends on
Well,
if,
if your wife's gonna make you shave it regardless,
Might as
what
well.
what can we do for the idea of raising some money to help some other people out?
Well, I'll tell you what Darwin does with the forests and donating and just trying to help with conservation of.
I was actually
Forest.
going to throw out the Sheltoe Trace because you and your wife are currently hiking that,
Yeah, we're section hiking it right now.
and I've already hiked the whole thing.
That's a good
So
idea, man.
Maybe we could work something out with the Sheltoe Trace Association. Maybe work in something. Maybe do it live on TV or on not TV. Yeah, we're going straight to NBC. No,
Straight on, dude.
but we could do a podcast, like a live stream, and
Yeah.
shave the beard and raise some money for the Sheltoe Trace Association and help out the trace a little bit.
It would definitely help with some conservation and just advancing the trail. And
Yeah.
I'd be down for that if I do shave it.
Okay.
If I
Okay.
don't, then obviously we can't. We
Yeah.
try to help in another way.
We could set up some tiers. You know, if you raise this much, then this, and if you raise this much, then this.
Some incentive.
And here's the thing: like I would even trim mine down if we raise enough money.
I think that you should let me shave yours.
If we raise enough money.
And one eyebrow. If you let me shave one eyebrow and your beard.
This is a crappy idea. Never mind. We're not even going to do this anymore.
I'm just kidding about the eyebrow.
I
but
think,
that's a good
that
idea.
would be a cool idea. I mean, we're just floating the idea, folks. We're not saying it's going to happen, but like, if you got ideas like that, shoot us a message. Let us know what you think. If you got some cool ideas, but I think it'd be cool if we got to give back. I think it's really important that, especially guys like us who have somewhat of a platform, as small as it is, we do have a little bit of a platform, and we should use that to help take care of these trails that we're always talking about and trying to get people to hike on. So.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm always just kidding about the money and stuff. Like, I have a day job. We have a good life. I don't need to collect money to shave my beard. I was just joking, but
But the extra
I think-
doesn't hurt.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to complain if somebody's willing to donate.
That's the truth.
See, but I'm just playing. But yeah, that would be good, dude. Good to give back.
Yeah.
I wish we could. I was listening while I was backpacking with Bridget. I was listening to an audio book, the one they made the movie in Walk in the Woods, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And he's talking a lot about the statistics of the forest services that are underfunded, or maybe it's not Forest Service.
Public lands.
I don't remember. Whatever government organization that basically all they're doing is building roads through forests so they can log out and make more
Department
money.
of the Interior.
I don't remember what it's
Something
called.
like that.
But it's severely underfunded. We don't have nearly enough people out there to help conserve, whether it's like law enforcement in the form of like fish and wildlife officers that, they're people just like us that are
Right.
out there, and they don't want to walk around checking licenses to see if you can fish legally or not.
Right.
To check hunting tags. Yeah, it's part of the job, but really their job is to make sure that the land is there for everybody to use.
Right.
Not just, a select few and then we're wasting it away with continuous logging and not replanting or whatever you have it.
Right.
So
right.
I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the Sheltowee Trace Association is it's pretty young as far as like trail associations go.
Yeah.
The trail was founded in the 1970s.
It's a very young trail.
But it really didn't get started. They didn't really start taking care of it until like the last 10 years, I think. So it's kind of, the trail association is pretty young. So financially, they're not rolling in the money right now to help take care of the trail or anything. So
yeah,
it'd be cool to do something maybe to get back to that a little bit.
I think all the pretty much all the long trails, even like the long trail, as in like the first officially completed in the Vermont Long Trail, which was the long trail, and it's really young, like 1900s.
Yeah.
Relative to, if you say people have been alive for thousands of years, and this thing is 100 years old, that's very, very young. So even the AT is also really young.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think trails right now are going to be in better shape because of the break they had, especially like the Appalachian Trail and the Long Trail and things like that, where they basically said no hikers for at least a couple months? They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Do you think that the earth kind of used that time to heal a little bit? Do you think the ground kind of like recovered from what tends to be year-round foot traffic all over it?
I hope so. And there's something that people don't think about is we do so much. We do stupid things as human beings, and we're all hypocritical on this. Somebody called me out for saying this. I think I made it on Facebook post, which is a terrible way to communicate anything.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, endless characters. But I commented on something, and I was like, we're all hypocrites because right now I'm sitting in this house that we had to take land away. Even if you don't go as far back as the native people that lived here before us, even if you go that, hey, this was a forest and now it's a subdivision or whatever it may be, and we live here and we're using fossil fuels and we have electricity and all this, we're all being hypocritical when we say, we can't do this, this, and this in the forest because you're literally living your life where you're going as a vacation. That's what it was before. And we do crazy things. Sometimes we'll like transplant animals. Like, Australia, they put in, I think it's Australia or New Zealand. They brought cats in because they had such a mice problem.
Yeah.
And you can fact check this if you want, but they had brought in these cats to kill all the mice. And now they have a rampant problem with
cats.
Thousands, millions of stray cats everywhere.
Yep.
We'll bring in stuff. We have burn lines and forest fires. It's a tragedy that people die in them and that they're destroying property. But there were forest fires way before we had made any established living space there. Mm-hmm. And it's part of as you were talking about, like the growth, the natural growth of the environment. That is, it's refertilizing the soil.
Well, you think of either I can't remember if it's Yellowstone or if it was, it was the other Yosemite. I can't remember which one it is, but they at one point removed all the wolves from the park, and when they did that, the entire ecosystem fell apart.
Yeah,
because they hunt certain animals that need to be taken care of, and when they didn't, those animals were eating up all of the grass and the trees and drinking up all the water, and everything just got completely out of whack until they reintroduced wolves back into the park, and everything evened itself back out again. There is a delicate balance in nature that if you mess up one little thing, it can really mess up the entire thing, which leads me to what we're talking about today.
Well, I'm cool talking about this, man. We can hold it to the next episode if you want.
I liked what we were going to talk about, so I kind of want to bring it up because it was really good.
All right.
And that's taking care of yourself. If we're going to take care of land, that's important. And when we go out backpacking, we better take care of ourselves leading into the trail. And if one thing is off, it can mess everything up. If you've got a bum knee and you walk funny, you could hurt your back. If you've got an ankle that's out, you could baby that hurt the other leg because you're putting so much pressure on it. Yeah. You know, little things that you think wouldn't be a big deal can actually cause a pretty massive mess up for your whole body. So let's talk a little bit about how you prepare yourself for trails, how you prepare yourself to train and to hike and all that, and just kind of see where it goes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got an open platform here because I haven't heard anybody talking about this on mainstream media and just across the U.S. So I'm going to bring it up because it ties into backpacking. First of all, those of you who like have watched some of my stuff and that kind of thing, you know that I was way overweight. And in the U.S., I mean, we have a big problem with people who are just unhealthy.
Right.
Whether it's due to malnutrition and you're overweight, or maybe you're just overweight, or maybe you've developed type 2 diabetes or whatever it is. And we had this whole pandemic, right, very recently, and it's still going on. And something that we're not talking about is how to take care of your body. And I think one of the main things is checking your health and your immune system. And so if you get sick in the backcountry, that's a big deal. Somebody might have to rescue you. But with the whole pandemic and everything, you know, a lot of us are immunocompromised and don't even know it, have deficiencies in all kinds of vitamins and minerals in our body, don't even know it, you know. And Bridget and I have eaten a lot of fast food, and that is one way that I had put on so much weight. And I lost all that weight right before I started backpacking, and it helped me immensely because everybody on my first backpacking trip was really skinny, right? And then I had been weightlifting. I was super fit, and I noticed all their packs were substantially lighter than mine, like by a good 15, 20 pounds. I brought everything, and we're climbing mountains in the Smokies, right? We're talking 5,000, 6,000 feet. We don't have mountains like that where I live. So I could have just walked the whole way, but they had to keep stopping. And even though like physically their body didn't look like, you know, that they were unhealthy, they are, because they're not drinking enough water. I think everybody should drink enough water first and foremost.
Right.
Because your body's mostly made up of water. So if you're not drinking at least like half a gallon of water a day, you know, you could definitely be helping yourself by drinking more. And anytime I'm going backpacking, the first thing I'm thinking about is I need to drink at least 1 gallon of water the day before I start. That way I'm already ahead of the game. Because if you go out there and you start backpacking and you haven't drank any water, then you're going to be screwed.
I was going to say, whenever I go on a trip, one of the things that I like to do is I like to drink 2 liters of water before I even get to the trail.
Oh, yeah.
I like to, on the drive over, I will drink 2 liters of water. That way, especially on hot days, like right now, like summer in Kentucky, 90 degrees, 85, 90% humidity, sun beating down on you, I camel up big time. And sometimes I'll drink more than that. But I'll stop at a gas station or something, grab a couple liters of water, if not more, and I will have that all gone by the time I get to the trail.
That's good thinking.
For the first couple hours, I'm going to the bathroom about every 15, 20 minutes. But it really does, it sets you up for success.
You got to feel bad for the girls, too. Like Bridget,
oh, yeah.
she'll do the same thing, and she'll like drink out of the hose from the bladder, like run it through the backpack, and she's got to pee like once every hour or so.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's easy for a guy. The girls, you know, they have like the Shewee and stuff, but I just feel bad for you. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. It's just genetics.
And for ladies that go to the bathroom, it is not nearly as convenient as it is for us guys.
Exactly, man.
So the other thing is, though, in the summertime, I find I don't have to go to the bathroom quite as much because I'm sweating off so much of it.
You sweat a lot.
So you don't necessarily have to go as much. But that's definitely one thing you can do that can help prevent injury and help prepare you for the hike. What are some other things that you do to prepare?
Well, I also just like try to maintain a healthy diet anyway. And I think one of the reasons why in the U.S. that we don't talk more about that is because the people who are in charge that have been elected and everything, their pockets are being lined by these whoever, you know, whether it's Coca-Cola or whoever is selling all the sugary drinks. and all the stuff that's like making you have an unhealthy diet.
Well, and let's step even further into that a little bit, into the realm of full-on conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not either, but I've read some studies on this stuff, and one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of these studies about the use of sugar in your body and all that are partially sponsored by Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and these companies that sell a lot of sugary, heavy things, and they're the ones funding the studies.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to look back and go, okay, so why would a company fund a study that's going to work against themselves? And you start to wonder, maybe we're not getting the whole story sometimes on this.
You're not. There's a lot of bias, and I won't dive like super deep in, but I do think that we need to take care of our body. That way, when we go to the backcountry, you know, you don't have to change your diet so much. You need a lot more carbs, I think, when you're backpacking. That's something.
Yeah.
I bring a lot of that because, you know, protein's great. It digests slower, but your energy, like your quick burst energy.
Protein's good for your dinner.
Yeah.
That's good for the dinner the night, like after you're done for the day.
Keeps you warmer too.
Keeps you warmer at night, and it gets you ready for the next day because it's slower burning and everything, and
you're repairing those muscles.
Yeah.
But some easy things I do. I'll get off the health kick, right? I'm not like super healthy guy or whatever. I just try to take care of my body and drink enough water and, you know, cut out the pop and stuff. But I do think it's important that we at least mention that. But on the trail, I did the Vermont Long Trail, and you're hiking every single day over and over and over. You know, it's not like you're going out for 2 nights and then you come home, you're like, oh, I'm sore, but you know what? I can take a shower, I can eat whatever I want, I can get some Gatorade. Okay, it's not like that whenever you're out there for multiple days at a time. So a few things that I did that's easy is if you have any foot problems that are due to lack of support, you need to get inserts on your shoes.
Insoles mean everything.
Yeah, they help a lot. And
they do.
If you're going to go with a 0-drop shoe, then make sure you're wearing that before you go out because it'll like destroy your calves because you're not working those muscles.
Yep.
And
now, what insoles do you use?
I just have Pinnacle Power Steps, which are not very good for backpacking because they're like a plastic layer and with a layer of foam on top. And so like water and stuff isn't good for them. It'll start destroying the foam.
Okay.
But around town and that kind of stuff, I always wear them. But if you can get something that's a little bit like graphite, if you can get a graphite insert, like a half insert, and put that under the factory insole in your shoe, I think those work great.
Yeah.
Depending on what arches you have.
I was going to say, I use Tread Labs, and they came out with one last year that was for active people like hikers and backpackers and stuff like that. And I've been using those and noticed a huge difference on my foot pain and just how tired my feet get when I'm doing all of that. That's kind of something that for me kind of helped things out. But what else do you do to kind of to prepare yourself for what's going on in the backcountry?
Before I go out?
Yeah, what do you do before you go out?
Like we have a Colorado trip that those of you who are listening to this, we've probably already been now. But I started weightlifting, and I noticed that helped a ton, especially like I'm not a big fan of doing lower body. Like who is, right? You get these giant like muscular guys that have little legs. But it's important for me to lift lower body because I can notice a huge difference. That and playing anything that is playing any sport that accelerates my heart rate really helps, whether it's running, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's soccer or whatever. Anything that's getting your heart rate above, 120 beats. Yeah. 100 beats per minute, 120, somewhere in that range.
There's some pretty intense meals that I've eaten that have done that.
Some Taco Bell gets the heart fluttering.
Just get so excited. It just, that's what happens.
That, and then when I'm out on the trail, we were talking about like feet problems. I dealt a lot with plantar fasciitis because I'm a teacher and I'm standing on concrete a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So before the trail, if I'm going to wear shoes, I'll try to break those in. But then out there, you can buy like a really light cork ball that you can roll your feet on. and I forget the company.
Well, you can even use a tennis ball. Like some people take a tennis ball out with them, and they'll just use that on the trail.
You can take any that you want, even like one of those little rubber bouncy balls if it's big enough that it's going to create space between your foot and the ground to roll on. That helps a lot. Anytime I'm going for, anywhere over 2 knots, I really like to have that because your feet just get sore.
I remember my first 22-mile day, and I remember I was by myself. I was solo backpacking on that trip. And my feet were so sore. I was doing a section from Yamacraw on the Big South Fork to Cumberland Falls here in Kentucky, and it was on the Sheltowee Trace. And I remember camping that night and being in my tent, and I just couldn't get my feet to not hurt.
But they're throbbing.
Oh, they were so sore, and I'd never hiked that many miles before. And I remember when I got home, someone saying something about getting a ball and rolling your feet, and that will help with that. And now when I go out, I always have something that I can kind of use under my feet if I'm going to do long miles. I haven't done a 22-mile day in forever at this point. There's no reason to right now, but yeah, it's amazing how much that can help with your foot pain when you're out.
Something that really helps if you don't have anything is if you're near a creek, putting your feet in there for like 15 minutes. Or like I love stopping at a cold creek for lunch because I take my shoes and socks off and I stick them in the creek while I eat.
Right.
And then they feel so good and refreshed. Even water crossings will help. But if you get to camp and you don't have anything, if you use trekking poles, you can collapse them. And it's really, really good. You can use it kind of like a foam roller. You can roll your quads out, your hamstrings, and your calves. You can also use it on your feet. So
you don't pack a foam roller with you when you go backpacking?
I haven't yet, but I could be known to. But it works great, and especially like Bridget and I'll go together sometimes. And if her quads are real sore or something, then I can take the trekking pole and you can put a little more weight on there and kind of like break those muscle fibers up where they're getting tense. And the feet, the same thing. You can like step on it. And you can hold the trekking pole.
Well, and roll
your feet.
Another big one is when you get to camp, put on camp shoes. I'm a huge fan of camp shoes.
Oh yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like. I don't think Mr. Backpacking with Jason Sir uses them at all.
But he unties his shoes and then that's it.
Yeah, that's it. For me though, I like to put on a pair of just flip flops and just kind of let my feet breathe. Let them out, let them dry.
My favorite camp shoe. Those 99-cent flip-flops at Walmart.
I know.
Buy 5 pairs of those, $5, it gets you through the year.
I have a pair of flip-flops that I have had for 7 years.
Is that your camp shoes?
Those are my camp shoes. And they're Nikes. They're like high end.
Are they light?
High end, yeah.
I like those little foam ones, man.
Yeah, that's basically they're just fancy little foam ones.
Yeah, that's
but they're super comfortable, and I can walk all over the place. I don't have to worry about my feet getting messed up, stepping on something, that kind of thing. So
my friend Hunter, he was going to do the AT this year. I guess he's going to do it next year. But he uses the Injinji socks, and he has those like super flat, minimal, like sandals.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't know how you do that. I would definitely blow out a foot.
There are some people that hike the entire AT barefoot.
That is the most crazy thing I've ever heard.
Can you imagine that? Like, but you got to think, by the time they're done, their feet probably have a ½ inch of callus.
Probably. It sounds awful.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's probably glorious.
Imagine being the person at the spa, like they get done and they go to the spa. That's the first thing they do.
Taking the pumice stone and trying to work that stuff off.
Yeah, that would tickle real bad. Grinding off ½ inch of callus.
Dude, I don't even know if they'd feel it. I don't even think you feel anything anymore.
That'd be awful.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. We talked about feet. We talked about hydration. Let's talk a little bit about joints. Let's talk about how do you prepare your joints for hiking.
So, people don't really think about it. They'll like say I have bad knees and stuff, and I will say that same stuff too because my knees, where I was overweight, it just like is grinding on those knees.
Yeah,
and knees and back is where I was feeling it the most.
Right.
And a lot of times with the back, maybe you just have a leg that's a tiny bit shorter and it's making your hips out of line. And you go see a chiropractor to kind of like work that out sometimes. But with my knees, we would use this special balm. I just happened to be in a trail family with a nurse, and she had...
Wait, how did you pull that off?
I don't know, man.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
We had an odd group, but she had this special like organic balm that we put like on sore muscles. It took care of it. It's crazy. But the knees, strengthen the muscles around. You got to think all your knee is like this, like your fist, and then a hand cupped over it. And all it does is move in that joint. So your knee really doesn't, it does a lot, but it really doesn't, there's not a whole lot to it, right? It's got some tendons, ligaments, but it's just, you know, swiveling. And the muscles around it are really, if you can strengthen those, they're going to help. But on the trail, number one thing that helps my knees is stretching. Every morning at lunchtime and before I go to sleep.
Now, I want to say something because I think that y'all need to hear this. Jeremiah has started a new form of working out. He's starting to he's starting to become one with his chakra, and he started doing some new workouts. You want to kind of explain what you've been into lately?
Yeah, I don't even know what chakra is, but
got one life, live it.
So I'm not very flexible, and I think it's important to work on your flexibility, especially because of your joints, right? So you're putting a lot of stress on those joints when you're not flexible. And I've never been super flexible, and I played like brute force football, and you didn't really need a whole lot of flexibility. You just get down there and hit somebody. And now, as I'm getting a little older, I'm weightlifting and all this stuff and still trying to stay active. I was like, I'm going to try out doing some yoga. And I guess it's a form of faith. I'm really uninformed. I don't know a whole lot about it, but doing 30 minutes of yoga, dude, I was so flexible.
Whenever, I can imagine.
Yeah. So yesterday I did 30, I like typed into YouTube 30 or like beginner yoga. And so what I did was I just started, and you do all these different poses and loosen up, and dude, by the end of it, the child's pose, which if I'm not mistaken, you're basically down on all fours and your butt is kissing the back of your heels. Well,
that's a child's pose?
Child's pose, and your hands are stretched out in front of you, and you're just kind of like, you got your forehead kind of like this. You get your forehead on the floor.
Yeah.
And my knees, dude, I got to the point where my butt could actually touch my feet, and my knee, like full calf against my hamstring.
No joke.
I don't think I've ever been able to do that. And that was just 30 minutes of yoga. And they were talking about energy and connecting with the earth. And I was like, I don't know about all that stuff, but the stretches feel amazing. No offense if you're into that kind of thing. I'm just not, you be you or whatever. But I think that even some basic stretching, like you don't have to do yoga or whatever.
Right.
Some people like backpacking the AT, and I wake up every morning and do 20 minutes of yoga before I get started. Cool.
That's good. You do
but
that.
If you can do like 3 or 4 stretches, like I'll do quad stretch, hamstring stretch, and calf stretch, and that's it.
Wow.
I think it's all you need.
That's still pretty good because I don't even do that much.
Yeah, dude, it helps your knees a lot.
Well, I will say one of the things that I've learned over the few years I've been backpacking and really hiking for almost 5-6 years now, your ankles have to build up a dexterity when it comes to twisting and turning and all that, because I don't know if you watch a lot of martial arts, but there's some martial arts where they will walk on the sides of their ankles.
I've never seen that
as part of their workouts, and they'll get to where they can do that, and they stretch those ligaments to a point where that doesn't hurt. There's no pain to that, because like what you're saying with your yoga, everything in your body you can stretch. It's pliable. Bones are the only thing you can't do that with.
Yeah.
But ligaments, you can stretch those too to where they can handle more.
At least some load.
Yeah. And so one of the things I've learned is the best way to prepare for hiking is hiking.
Yeah, that's very true.
You don't have to do 20 miles a day or anything, but just get out and do like a 3, 4, 5 mile hike a couple times a week. Get your knees used to that kind of beating. Get your ankles used to that kind of turning and twisting, because you're going to step in holes. You're going to step on roots. You're going to step on sticks and rocks, and your ankles are going to twist. It just happens. It doesn't matter when you go hiking. You're going to do it to some degree.
Yeah, and people will buy boots and stuff to help prevent rolling their ankle, but you definitely, if you step wrong, like mechanical injury is real deal.
Yeah.
Bridget didn't really play sports and stuff growing up. When we get out there and she rolls an ankle, she gets really scared, because I play basketball and you roll your ankle quite often.
Yeah.
And it hurts, but you kind of know when you can keep going, when you can't.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. And the more experience she gets and the different feels, and you get, I don't know, it is kind of like you connect a little bit and you get a flow.
One of the things you learn too with rolling your ankles, if it's a minor one, just start walking. Don't give it a chance to swell. Just start walking and keep walking. And it's the whole idea of walk it off. Actually, there's something to that.
If it's minor, yeah.
Yeah, if it's minor. No, you're not going to do this if you really jack your ankle up. But I don't know a hiking trip I didn't go on where I didn't twist my ankle a little bit.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking like injury, but I've twisted my ankle on just about every hike I've been on to some degree. And it may not be like a major league falling kind of thing.
Sure.
But you're going to step and you're going to go sideways a little bit. Your ankle's going to twist a little bit. You're going to have those little things happen. And if you're not hiking a lot, your ankles and knees aren't going to be prepared for it, and you are going to struggle when you get out on a long trail.
You got to get a feel for it. And when I was on the long trail, sometimes like I'd have ankle or knee pain, and I would take just like the Sawyer squeeze bags, and I'd fill them up with water, and I'd walk straight over to like my shelter, and I would put that as kind of like an ice pack.
Right.
I'm really trying to take less ibuprofen. Whenever I was hiking every day, I was taking at least 4 a day, like 2 in the morning, 2 at night.
Yeah.
I really think that's terrible for your liver. And if you need like 6 ibuprofens a day to do that, I really think it's definitely possible that you're causing like irreparable damage to your body. And I don't want to do that. So sometimes you kind of have to. But
I know when I was doing some longer miles on stuff that we've talked about before, I was dropping some major ibuprofen at night because like we said earlier, the foot pain, man, that foot pain's for real. It hurts.
Yeah.
And you can't sleep because the feet are throbbing.
Keeping you awake.
I can honestly say I've never had like severe knee pain on the trail, but I have had foot pain, like where your feet are done, and they don't want to go anymore.
I was going to mention this too about the knees and how you step and stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever I was really fat, I was getting really bad patellar, like my patellar tendon was getting like super inflamed, and I had hurt it really bad, and I actually had to do PT. Like losing weight and doing PT is what nursed my knees back to health.
Oh, wow.
Every single day. I was taking like 15, 20 minutes a day to do this PT at home or driving to a physical therapist and having them to like work with me and with resistance band trainings and doing like, you do different exercises with stairs and the way you step and making sure you're placing your foot right so you don't hurt your knees. And one thing I learned is you're walking through the woods and sometimes it's just the terrain's not very friendly.
Right.
And so you kind of have to step weird ways. But if you can do anything to keep your knee from going past your toes, that takes a lot of stress off the patellar tendon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like at the gym, I'll even go as far as instead of doing forward lunges, I'll do reverse lunges because it doesn't put as much stress on the front of the knee, which is where I was having my problems. It still aggravates me.
Yeah.
And the ibuprofen helps because really it's inflammation. But the only key is to just be healthier, make sure you're not dehydrated, you're taking care of your body, putting good things into it.
Well, and there are certain exercises that are going to help you a little bit more when it comes to getting ready, especially if you're going to do a lot of uphills. Things like lunges and squats, exercises that are going to work those muscles behind your legs, that are going to help your hamstrings and your glutes. They're gonna build those up so that when you're doing those climbs, you're not gonna get fatigued so quick.
Right.
Because fatigue is a big deal. Like you get to a point. I think everybody's experienced who's done a lot of hiking. You've experienced that one time where you're hiking and you get to a point and you're just like, I'm done.
That's where you get hurt.
I'm done. Yeah, and you're like, okay, where am I camping? Because I'm done. This is the end. Like
when you have to push on and you're super tired, it's just like sports, right? You get lazy with the move. And that's where you get hurt.
Right.
Or maybe you're weightlifting, you're trying to push the weight, and your form's off because you're tired, and you're going to hurt something. Or whatever it is, dancing.
And form is everything. Form is everything. Even in hiking, you don't want to just sloppily run around. You want to be really intentional. I almost made up a new word. Intentionable. You need to be intentional about your movements, Jeremiah. It's very important.
And the trekking poles help too.
They really
a ton, in my opinion. But
especially on downhills, I think.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. I hate downhills. I'd actually rather walk uphill.
Yeah. You know when I did Kilimanjaro, I didn't have a single blister for all 7 days until we started going downhill.
What kind of shoes did you wear?
I was wearing Merrell Moabs.
That's a good shoe.
I was
very
wearing
popular.
Those. And then for the last part of it, I was wearing some Salomon XD Alpine 300 plus extra super incredible. Spend all your money on me boots.
Why'd you switch out?
Because it was Arctic weather when we got to the top, and those Moabs were not made for that. And I needed to protect my feet and keep them warm because it was I think I mentioned it in the last podcast. It was like 0 degrees with a 30-mile-an-hour wind, and it was like the wind chill was negative 30. And so if we weren't wearing something on our feet, one of the guys almost got frostbite on his feet because he was just wearing trail runners.
Wow. And
so yeah, you really needed to change out your footwear. I mean, I think I was doubled up on socks even because it was so cold.
That's insane.
Yeah. So
how'd you get ready for that?
Moabs for the most time. How'd I get ready for what?
The Kilimanjaro.
Walking, stair climber, walking, stair climber, walking, stair climber.
Freaking
walking.
stair climber.
Dude, I
hate those.
What makes me mad at myself, this makes me mad at myself. I was doing almost an hour on a stair climber at a time.
That sounds awful.
In one shot. Like, I would just put a TV show on, the TV in front of the stair climber at the gym, and just go.
Just zone out and just watch. And
I messed up my back doing that, though.
What was it? Poor posture, like I'm sitting right now.
It was me holding my arms up in one position for an hour, holding the bar because they never moved. I had a muscle behind my right shoulder blade that tensed up and got caught under my shoulder blade.
No way.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard of that.
I hadn't either, but now I've experienced it. And it was not fun. But I mean, it was one of those things but I will say that kind of training, I was fine. Like I was the third one up to the top of our group when we went to the top of Kilimanjaro because I had trained my tail off. That's not saying that there weren't people there that were in better shape than me.
Right.
But I definitely wasn't holding the group back. And that was really the biggest thing. I didn't want to be the one holding the group back.
I said it a bunch, but I'll say it again. Experience is the best teacher. So like you said, just getting out there, even if it's 3 miles hiking in the woods near your house, that is like the perfect training for what you're going to do. And some people, I'll see like people, I think you talked about altitude mask. And if you want to train by, basically your body works is, you got your cardiovascular system and your muscles, and your heart pumps blood that's carrying oxygen from your lungs around the body. And so when the oxygen feeding into the muscles, and the more efficient your muscles are at using that oxygen, the not more athletic, but the higher endurance you're going to have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So restricting that oxygen to where, if you had 100%, now you've lowered it to 95, that could be a big difference. And it trains your cardiovascular system to work on less oxygen, which in turn, you always want to train harder than the game. Make practice harder than the game.
Right.
So if you do, the game's easy.
Right.
That's what I think. But I'm not a doctor.
No, I think you're right. And the oxygen mask was one of those things for me that helped out a ton because now I did get the police called on me a couple times.
Did you really?
Well, if you can imagine some dude wearing a Bane mask and a backpack walking around his neighborhood, at 10 o'clock at night.
They probably thought you were a lunatic.
They thought I was the scary. One woman said she was terrified of me until she found out who I was and what I was doing. And then she thought it was great, but she was terrified up until that point because she was just, here's this weird looking guy with this mask on, walking with a backpack. He looked pretty rough, just walking around. And so, but yeah, that was really helpful. And like I said, just getting out and just walking. Like when you're hiking, you're not running, you're not jogging, you're walking. And so if you're not someone who has the kind of knees that like to run, or you just don't want to run, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to train for hiking, you start off by walking, but then you've got to at some point start hiking, and you need to find hills. Well, hike hills, hike lots of hills, hike so many hills that you forget what it's like to hike on flat ground. There was one place I like to hike called Shaker Village, and the thing that's really cool about Shaker Village is that they have this one hill, and I've nicknamed it. I don't know if anybody. It's a trail a lot of other people don't hike, which is one of the reasons I liked it, because it was my trail. I didn't have to worry about running into anybody.
Right.
You know, and so when I was on that trail, I had this hill that was towards the end of the trail, and I just called it Butt Kicker Hill. That was my name for it. It was Butt Kicker Hill.
Was it steep?
It was steep, and it felt like it was never going to end. So you start off, and you're going up this hill, and you get to where it looks like it's going to end, but it actually turns right and keeps going up. And then you get to the end of that section, like, okay, I'm finally there, and it turns left and goes up again. And you're like, what am I supposed to do here? And then it turns left again and keeps going up. And then right when you think you're done, you look up and realize, no, I've still got to go up there.
That is butt kicker.
And it's a butt kicker. And it's a mental one, which is another reason why it's a good one, because you know as well as I do, when you're hiking hills, it's more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
Because you can convince yourself you can't make it.
But those false summits, too, are so defeating.
Yes.
I hate them.
But the mental aspect is really important. So preparing for hiking isn't just about the physical part; it's about the mental part. And you need to stretch yourself mentally when you're hiking, because the more you can handle, like you said, it's better off to push yourself really hard. Mm-hmm. And then when you go out to do like a trip like you're doing, where you're going out to Colorado, you're going to be on a 12,000-foot mountain.
Yeah.
Well, you got 3 days to train for this thing?
I'm pretty good. But, just got to do some more yoga.
Yeah, just some more yoga. You'll be good. But you want to train like doing hills. Like find a place nearby that you can just get on hills, or do a stair climber. That stair climber, more than anything I did, just prepared my legs. Because when your muscles get that muscle memory of hiking up a hill, and they get to where the fatigue doesn't set in for them, you can hike as long as you want. Like, the moment your wheels go out, you're done. There's no getting around it.
Whenever, I may have said it before, but whenever I lived in Ecuador and there was a lack of oxygen, come back, and, you could run up 5 flights of stairs. No problem. But, it goes away quick. Another thing you can do, like just as a tool to use while you're out backpacking, is anything that, is going to distract you from how difficult things are. Like, I don't like to mentally check out, but I do like being entertained while I'm doing it. So my favorite thing to do is hanging out and talking while I'm backpacking, to a certain extent. Sometimes you want some alone time. You just want to hike by yourself.
I was going to say, that's me. I'm the guy that, like, you guys go ahead. Not that I don't love you. I love every one of you. I'll talk to you at camp. Yeah, like, just let me do my thing here.
You get a long time at camp to hang out anyway. That's kind of the hangout anyway.
That's kind of the way I am.
But if I'm hiking with somebody I don't know very well, it's very, very entertaining, because it gives you an isolated, undistracted place to get to know each other.
Right.
And I love doing that. And, if you're doing something that is a long trail and you're going to be out there for a month or 2 or whatever, you meet so many people, and if you want to get to know them, you can. And if that's not your jam and you do want a little distraction, I kind of got a routine where I like to listen to the birds and nature and stuff for the first hour or 2 while I'm backpacking.
Right.
And then I will listen to music or a podcast or audiobook or whatever. And that's just kind of the way I like to do stuff. But I still like to be able to hear my surroundings around me.
Yeah.
So maybe one earphone, or if you have some that have transparency where you can hear through them, that works out really well too. But I think it's important to stay in touch and know your surroundings, but a little distraction doesn't hurt either.
No, I would agree with you on that. I think for me, I'm one of these people, I don't want to listen to music. Like a lot of people put in headphones and just start listening to music or podcasts. Yeah. I'm indoors 90% of my week. And for me, I've said this before, like I would call hiking my worship service. I would call it my connection, with God. I would call it my my escape from cement and metal and air conditioning and TVs and computer screens and iPads. And for me, when I get out, I really do want to hear the animals. I want to hear the wind. I want to hear the creek when I walk by it. I want to experience these things. I want to see the deer that runs by, that if I'm listening to a song, I'm not going to hear the footsteps. I'm not going to see it. And so for me, when I go hiking, I just want away from all that stuff. I'm like, just leave me alone. That's why I hike with some people and they think I don't like them. And it's like, no, I promise, you're cool. Like, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk later in camp, unless it's like a really long hiking day.
Yeah.
And then I'll get plenty. I mean, if you're hiking, let's say 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is during the day, well, okay, that's different. I mean, I would definitely hike with some people and talk to them and do that kind of thing. But a lot of times I just kind of want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And part of that too for me is mental, because my life has a lot of noise in it. I got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they don't stop. And just a lot of noise. My job is very social, so there's a lot of people in my life that is very social. And so for me, when I get out in the backcountry, I'm like, let's just
check out of the Matrix, man.
Just get me out of here. Let's just go enjoy what we're doing. I mean, that for me is just as important as the trail itself. It's just being in nature.
Yeah.
And I love it. But to get back to what we're talking about, not being prepared makes that harder. You don't enjoy it as much if you're out of breath. You don't enjoy it as much if your legs hurt, your feet hurt, your ankles hurt, your knees hurt, your back hurts. Even something as simple as how you pack your backpack matters when it comes to getting ready for the backcountry. And if you don't know how to pack your backpack correctly, you're going to be in big trouble, because if the weight's distributed the wrong way, you could really hurt yourself. You could really damage your back. And so there's so many things that go into preparing your body, your mind, your psyche, everything to get you prepared so that you can do a longer backpacking trip. And if you've never done it before, it can feel terrifying.
Yeah, but don't let it scare you out of starting. You have to, like we were saying, experience is best teacher. Don't let it scare you out of like actually getting out there and doing it. But there's
or be terrified.
Just live your life in fear.
Never go into the backcountry.
That was the next thing I was going to mention, is the gear aspect. We as a Western civilization are really guilty oftentimes of trying to buy our way out of problems.
Right.
But there is an aspect of backpacking that you can kind of buy your way out of some of the issues that you run into. Mm-hmm. And that is, you find that happy medium where the gear is enough, but it's also lightweight for relative to what you need. And that is a huge thing, because as I mentioned before, on my first trip, my backpack was huge and all the gear was super heavy, and I had a bunch of stuff that I didn't need. So figuring out what I didn't need was the first step. And the second step was the big pieces of gear, like your big three, your backpack and your sleep system and your tent. If you can dial those in, then you can cut a bunch of weight, and that just makes your
ton of weight.
All kinds. And it costs some money sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's a process. It's not like just, I'm going to throw everything away and then buy all new stuff. You may
one piece at a time.
Exactly.
And I like the way Dan Becker, he did a video on what you should buy first.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was really good, because his thing was buy your backpack. You don't buy your backpack first.
No.
Buy your tent first.
Right.
And then after you buy your tent, buy your sleeping pad, your sleeping bag. And then from there, buy your backpack, so those things fit and you still have room for everything else.
I think that's great for beginning.
Yeah.
Now, once you get up there and you want to restrict yourself, like if I get a 45-liter backpack for the summer months, then it does restrict me, and that can be a tool if you know how to use it to keep from taking so much crap.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of people who struggle with getting too much stuff or taking too much stuff, it's because they have so many pockets and it's a huge backpack and they want to fill it all up. And the defense I found against that can keep you from doing that is to not use stuff sacks with your sleeping bag or your quilts. Like if you're backpacking, or if you're using a hammock, your quilts, shove them in the bottom.
Yeah.
And then put stuff on top of that, and it'll push down as you go. But you can also use that to fill up some space in the bottom of your bag, so that your bag is full and it's fully supportable, and it's in, it's where you need it, but you don't have to put as much junk in it. And like I started doing that, and I found like I get to the end, I'm like, man, this looks full. I know I can put more in, but I don't think I want to. And it's a mental thing, but something as simple as that, where you shove something down in there, you don't put it in a stuff sack, because once you put it in a stuff sack, it's fitting where it fits.
Yeah.
But when you shove that backpack down, or not backpack, that sleeping bag down on the bottom, you shove those quilts down on the bottom, they'll take up a lot of space if you want them to.
Yeah.
And that can really help defend against that.
You can compress them to take up less space. I really do like the cushion at the bottom. That's the way I do it too. I'll put it in a compactor bag and then stuff the sleeping bag and clothes and stuff first. But I have a couple friends, and they're married. They both do backpacking. One refuses to use any stuff sacks for anything, and the other has stuff sacks. I won't say for everything, but like
for
they
most
group
things.
it. Right. Here's hygiene. Here's sleeping bag. Here's clothes in this one. Here's my water system in this one, and so on. And they they buy a lot of the same gear, but it fits into the backpacks differently. And they have like, just like Bridget and I have the female and male version of the same bag, they have the same bag too, different bag than ours, but they have the same bag, female and male. So essentially they have about the same amount of space, similar fit, same pockets and everything, but completely different. And it's funny whenever we go with them, like even the food. One of them doesn't put any of their food in a stuff sack. They literally stick it in the backpack.
What?
This is the only person I've ever seen do it. And it's, like I said, to each their own. Like, I do things a little bit different than you, but...
What do they do about animals and stuff?
I guess that she has, like, a bear bag that she can hang.
Okay.
But even if, like... Maybe I shouldn't say all the food. She may have a food bag, but, like, if she's looking for a snack, like a protein bar or something like that...
on the top?
No, it's just floating around in there somewhere. She like feel around. I don't think it's the most efficient way.
That's great.
I think it's kind of funny.
Great.
But I can't hate on her because it's just a different way.
Hike your own
of doing
hike,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Hike your own hike.
Just do it different. It's okay to be different.
So we've talked about hydration. We've talked about food. Mm-hmm. We've talked about joints and muscles. We've talked about your psyche. We've talked about your equipment. Is there anything we're missing here that we need to be talking about when you're preparing for the trail?
I think so. The one thing that pops out, I'm sure there's others, but like I'm a terrible example because this Colorado trip, if you heard the last episode, I'm just kind of showing up.
Right.
But not really. I mean, I'm an experienced backpacker till they write an article saying I've fallen off a cliff or something, right?
There you go.
But knowing the terrain, like knowing, don't get in over your head.
I was gonna say the exact same thing.
You know, the maps, knowing how to use a map, knowing how to at least be able to use the compass on your phone, and if nothing else, having the map downloaded on your phone with live GPS so you can see which direction, like you can point your phone. That's super, super convenient.
Something else that's really important is understanding the elevation you're dealing with and the difficulty of it. Because if you don't, and you just go out and say, I want to do this trail, and you're not in the fitness shape that you need to be to do that, you're going to have a miserable time. You may quit backpacking after that. Yeah. There's nothing that will deter you from going back out than being miserable on the trail. And so it's really important for your health even. I mean, there are people that really get messed up being on elevation they shouldn't be on, or a trail they shouldn't be hiking on. And I say that as a man who is not skinny. You know, I understand this stuff, you know, but I've done over 19,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done 2,000 feet of elevation, you know, and
they're different.
And they really are. But you need to know what you're capable of before you get out. And that's why all this is so important, because the last thing that you want to have happen on a trail is get hurt.
Right. Yeah.
And so this is all stuff that can prevent that from happening. This is so that when you go out, you do have the best time. And when you get done, all you can think is, when can I go back out again?
Yeah. And disclaimer, neither medical professionals, just experienced a little bit in our life. That's the way we do it.
I'm totally a medical professional. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not.
No, it's all good. Well, hey guys, it's been an hour. And
Another hour.
Yeah, we're supposed to go 30 minutes, and we didn't. So we're gonna go ahead and end this one. But Jeremiah, good time as always.
Yeah, dude.
Good time as always. And looking forward to hearing about your trip maybe in our next podcast.
It's coming up.
It's going to be awesome to hear about it, man. You're going out with some pretty famous people. So I hope it rubs off on you.
We'll try to do some videos too so people can check it out.
I'd like that. I would like that. I'd like that. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Thank you for listening to the Backpacking Podcast. And until next time, we'll catch you on the next go-around.
Adios.